Hello, Instagram. Welcome to another live. Just gonna invite my wonderful soul sister, Carly Grace. And let's see. It's gonna be a very fruitful conversation today. We're gonna be talking about sacred space and sovereign speaking and how to hold space for others. Hello, Pathway to Divine, my beautiful friends. And I'm super excited for this conversation because Carly Grace, who is going to be joining me, they are a wonderful soul wonderful being from many past lives, has lived in many other places across the multiverse, and has a lot of experience in regards to holding sacred space, what that sovereignty looks like. So yeah, I'm excited for us to kind of dive deep. And hopefully, if you are watching the replay, I know that you will walk away with some type of key connected to your journey, something that's going to help you move forward. And while Carly Grace is kind of getting ready to hop on, I'll just kind of open it up with some of the energies that I've been feeling. And I will be talking about it a little bit more on my social media. Hello, my favorite MJ Fit couple. Thank you for joining. So we're going to be talking about sacred space and sovereign speaking. But while Carly Grace is hopping in, I did want to kind of share a little bit about collective energies that have been going on. A lot of folks anyways who have delved into the professional development, self-growth, kind of self-help books, this journey of really going within and understanding who you are as a person and what resonates with you, what doesn't resonate with you. It's very, it leads to a pathway where you have no other choice but to go inward. And in that journey, as you're going inward, you start to discover an aspect of yourself that makes you question everything you once knew. And so this energy is coming up, it's resurfacing again for the collective. And it's a type of energy that I feel is going to be affecting us, even if you've done the work, even if you have reached this place of success in your life, and however that success might look to you, it's an energy that's getting revisited again. It's sort of like a checkpoint. That is how my guides are showing it to me right now in my third eye. So a lot of people are going to be pushed into a sort of corner at the checkpoint, and they're going to have to revisit everything they've once known, everything that they've learned. Hello, Carly Grace. Sent you an invite, my friend. Let me try it again. I'm not sure how it appears on your end, but let me know. Yay! Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. It was so interesting. I'm like waiting for this invitation to come through. I'm like, what's going on? And then I look and all my things are silenced because I put it on D&D to be fully present here today.
Oh my gosh, no worries at all. I was like, I'll just wait because I sent an invite and then I was like, let me just open it up and warm it up with collective energies. And it just worked out perfectly. Oh my gosh, can I just take a moment, just to look at you? I'm so excited.
Yay.
I'm so excited for this. Seriously, you are a genius in your field, and I know that you have a lot of experience and you have a story to tell, right? And I value that, I respect that. And I want to talk about all the things that you've been creating, because I think that that's such a valuable conversation, right? Holding space, sacred space, and sovereign speaking, this theme that is so critical for humanity moving forward. But also, the business that you have and the projects and the community that you've been building, because, I cannot emphasize this enough, coming from the places that I've come from, the institutions, the organizations, the communities, I really feel like you have something to give in regards to this uplifting topic. And it's something that I think that even the brightest people who have reached an advanced stage in their own self journey, right, their own spiritual journey, could learn something from. So yeah, I'll leave it to you, and then this is going to go with the flow. So, as it goes, you know how it is.
Flow with grace and ease is the intention I set for our conversation today.
Yes, I love that. Oh my gosh. And it's so fitting. Your name's Carly Grace, so I love that. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, so tell me more about sacred space. How did this theme, sacred space and sovereign speaking, approach you? Was it a sort of channeled message? Talk to me more about that.
That's such a powerful question because I think, especially as sensitive types who are connected to the universe or at least connected to energies that are playing out around us, and we can get caught up in those waves and it can feel like a storm. And so as we navigate, how to show up authentically for ourselves, we're always being pressed upon of, are we interacting with the world when we're whole and we're complete, like fully sourced, like aligned to who we are? Or are we driving on autopilot and are just kind of being thrown around on the waves? Mm-hmm. So for me, it was definitely a channeled message because, I've been serving the mental health and spiritual community since 2016. And if you really want to talk about it, like we know that we've been serving for a longer time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like I was just thinking about like, what story? Because, in the business community, we talk about like, what's your hero story? And for the longest time, I had a hard time because I had like 1,000 hero stories. And I'm like, I'm tired of the hero story. And I was thinking about like when I was like 5 or 7 years old and there was a squirrel that fell off a tree. And me and my twin sister, we like rescued it. And like not knowing what squirrels eat or whatever, like we put it in a shoebox. And we knew like to not tell our parents, like they would be mad, like germs and this, that, whatever, right? But there was something inherently in me that said, I can't just walk away and let it, and let it die. I have to try to do something about it, right? And that energy of I can't just walk by and be okay with the fact that people are suffering or that they're going in these tailspins when the answer is actually right in front of them, right? And so it was kind of it was a learning curve because I used to be more active and that was more of a savior type of archetype that I was channeling. And that's not really productive. That's not productive at all. So sacred space is really about recognizing, and sovereign speaking is really about recognizing that we're sacred and sovereign. So it's seeing the hero in the other person. It's seeing them as whole. So like it gives you this integrity and this like strong rootedness of being with people with their stuff without taking it on and carrying it, but we could empathize and show up from a place of just like overwhelming compassion. And so sacred space and sovereign speaking came to me because through my life experience, I had an early spiritual awakening and many very early.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. What age was it?
I was 5 years old when I wanted to be a priest. And then that's when I learned about feminism, when I was like told that I couldn't be a priest because I was a woman. And I'm like, whoa. Like that does not make sense. Like I have spirit moving through me. I have this unconditional love of Christ consciousness. Of course, those aren't my words when I was 5 years old, but it's like I feel God and I felt that people were having a hard time feeling God, like seeing that for themselves. And so I'm kind of happy that I was kind of like slapped in the face or like I ran against the wall when it came like, no, you can't be a priest, because it taught me right away that there was a reality that was outside of my own. And that would be a journey that I would navigate for 30 plus years of what is reality, where does my reality start, and where do other people's realities start. And so I had to like evict. I had to evict like over 1,000 players in my head because there was all these voices, all these scripts, and it always came down to I was chasing all these symptoms. And I was working with all these different people. I had spent like north of 10 years in therapy, like trying to figure stuff out. And they would just like open up Pandora's box, send me off. And like, I would be going to like a dark night of the soul. I'm like, a resource, please. Yeah. I don't mind going through the muck and like meeting myself where I'm at. Because I think that's really the most important part of sacred space is that you meet yourself where you're at and how you are. And you see yourself whole. Like you don't see yourself as a victim or as an extra. It's really about not writing yourself out of your own story and seeing yourself as the lead character of your own narrative, and being very intentional about what kind of character are you? Like, what's your message? What's your storyline? Like, when, if there was going to be an automatic book written about you, you know, Akashic Records. You know, just kidding. You know, if there was a book, you know, written about you, like, what would that book say? Like, what is your spirit story? And, you know, and it just, that gave me the strength, the resilience, but most importantly, the joy in play. Because I think sometimes these life experiences can just really like knock us on our ass, and a lot of people respond by closing up and getting all hard and rigid and turning off or becoming detached from the world, and that only really leads into this feeling of loneliness and just really deep disconnection. And so like that's where we get into like the lies of separation and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, after all the work, the Jungian psychology, I actually used engineering because I'm a biomedical engineer by like degree. I went to Northwestern for that. I chose that because that was an avenue for me to understand spirit. Like, I was solving for connection. I was solving for a sacred life, you know, and I knew that my pain and my suffering was coming from a place that, one, I would just be I felt like I was a feather in the ocean in a storm. Like, I would just be tossed around all over the place until, you know, I became this super sturdy, like, seafaring ship that knows how to navigate the ocean, you know? And that's the transformation that I support, you know, these sensitive souls to have, because, you know, this world isn't necessarily designed for them, right? Like, we're not coming from a place where society recognizes that everything is energy, right? And that energy influences every aspect of who we are, whether we realize it or not. And so sacred space is really about coming to an understanding about who you are as a person, valuing that, like on the deepest soul cosmic level, like really valuing the beauty and the miracle of your life, you know, like, yeah, as you know, like, I love you to death. And I'm like, why? Because the universe brought, yeah, the universe brought you into my life. And I know that the people that are coming into my life, the people that have been in my life, and I mean, they were my master teachers, right? And I was their student, and vice versa, because we're the perpetual student. We're the student of the cosmos. And when we both take a lead as the master teacher, but are humble enough to know that we are also the universe's student, we have this malleability. We have this ability to grow into the infinite potential of who we are. And also what I call this galactic grace, you know, to receive the, right? New handle. Hashtag galactic grace.
They were.
Yeah.
That's a cool.
Yeah. To receive that gift of being compassionate of ourselves in an empowered way that allows our story to unfold with divine intervention, right? Like, we leave space for the universe to surprise us because no matter, like, right? Like, I do all this timeline work, like the subtle body. I go like across the subtle bodies. I'm like super detail oriented and very meticulous, and spiritual work is not an exception.
I love that. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So sacred space is the solid anchoring, the sturdy rock that supports you to weather the storm of, you know, as you shed the reality that held you and supported you until it no longer served you, right?
Wow. Carly Grace, thank you so much for coming on this live with me and chatting about sacred space and sovereign speaking and kind of your story. First of all, it's such an honor to be on a live with you and actually talk for the first time face to face like this. And I know it's like so cool, like the overwhelming energy, but it's like I'm feeling what I'm actually seeing in my third eye and feeling in my heart is like the okay, my guys just said the Japanese cherry blossoms, but it's like an overwhelming, like when someone when like on a live when someone puts the heart and it's like flutters like a ton of hearts. I don't know how to say it. That's what I'm feeling in my heart right now. So a ton of flowers blooming. And I appreciate you for being honest and open and vulnerable about your experience growing up. I have so many questions, but I just want to start off by saying it's no surprise already the synchronicities that you've just mentioned in your own story connected to me. And first of all, the fact that that journey started for you at a young age is a true testament of the divine that's always within us and around us, right? A lot of people have their journey starting off around your age, and for others it's a little bit older depending on what they need to learn. But for that to have been your first experience where you wanted to be a priest and someone told you can't be a priest because you're a woman or you identified as a woman at the time, right? So it's very interesting because it's like, okay, well, as a young child who is still innocent minded, right, new to the world, you're like, what do you mean you're already putting me inside a box? What is this box? What's going on? It's like everything is completely different than what you incarnated as originally. So I appreciate you just opening up about that. And I agree with you when we're talking to other people and like holding space for other people, sacred space is just seeing others as the higher self that they are and choosing to see people in that light. And it's so hard sometimes because I don't even want to say hard. It can be challenging at times because the social constructs that have been built around society, B, the way that people have grown up has made them create these judgments and perceptions and beliefs over time. And C, the fact that you also have an ego mind connected to your being, and that's just part of this reality and the duality that exists, etc., etc. It's like so much all at once that sometimes you feel like you can't see others in the imperfections and the perfections that they are from that place of you are your higher self. I think it's just so pivotal that we're having this conversation now because of everything that's happening in the world, the differences in opinion, the differences in perspective. It's like, no matter where you are and what country you're living in, we're being faced with people around us who probably close to us even who have a different belief than us about what's happening in the world. And it's sort of like this almost, and I'm seeing like Anubis right now weighing the scales. So it's like this judgment call, the heart, how heavy is the heart? But for me, it's like I'm seeing it as how much slack are you going to give your neighbor for realizing that they too have had a story, they too have had a history. We already know that the past lives, most of us on this planet, if not all of us, have lived on many planets and have had many past lives, right? But it's like the here and now, right now, how much slack are we going to give for that?
Yeah. I just wanted to share is that many have these past lives, but there are some that this is their first time.
Wow. Really?
And yeah, and I think that is, and so like, we have just like a child goes through its evolution, when they come to term, we have spirits that are birthed and then they don't make it very long, right? And then actually it's wow, that wave, I just got it because at the heart of my work is really suicide prevention. And it's because people feel so out of place, like they don't belong. They get so hurt. I call it spiritual amputation. In order to fit into these boxes, it's almost like you have you ever seen that little egg razor thing that cuts the egg into all these little slices?
Oh yeah, I was looking at that on Amazon a few days ago. Really weird. Okay, yeah.
Well, I feel energy, right? And I felt energy since like physically I feel energy. So I have felt that in society we have these filters that are like that egg slicer. And in order for these sensitive souls to move forward, they're continuously slicing off parts of who they are in order to navigate these spaces and these systems. Specifically, nuclear family and mostly corporate America. Like we get, the different structures, but specifically nuclear family and corporate America is where they find that, it's really, really hard to show up exactly as who you are because they have these patterns and these habits that are so entrenched in their nervous system. So I go a lot in providing like nervous system like regulation, so that way they can show up fully and they no longer have to self amputate. Like they don't have to self abandon. They don't have to leave their bodies. Like their bodies are not going to shut down. We go through these skills so that way they're able to show up in these spaces complete and they're whole, even though that they experience what I call spiritual amputation in the process of, their journey. And because, I've had friends who have transitioned early because they didn't find this world habitable. I mean, is really what it comes down to. So I want people to be able to use their sacred yes, yes, that they get to experience joy and play and enjoy this life. And also, yes, that they're strong enough and resilient enough to trust the universe's story, God's story, grand master plan for them, that we are the living masterpiece that is coming together, right? Yeah. And we could truly appreciate that at the end of our term, here at the end of our cycle. But sometimes, souls transition early, and whether you've had a loved one who's transitioned early or you yourself have experienced, what it feels like to dance with death in that sense. So, when we come back to sacred space and sovereign speaking, we come from a place of being able to have peace with our demons, and actually being able to integrate them and recognize that we have the power to create and to destroy. And it starts with our life. It starts with our life. And it starts with how we speak about ourselves. So when we see ourselves as sovereign, we use sovereign speaking, starting with ourselves. So that way we can overwrite all the negative conversations, and negative by, it doesn't serve your ability to express and to expand into the infinite potential of who you are and who you were created to be. Because all of us, we have this energetic fingerprint that is very specific to our soul, where we have our sacred rhythms, and what I call your heart song. Are you hearing your heart song? And so I help these sensitive souls connect to their heart song, so that way they can speak, sovereign and sacredly to themselves, so that way they can embody the sovereign and the sacred, and they can show up into spaces, fully integrated and whole, and knowing that they're going to continue this work. That this is the refining process. It doesn't necessarily. It gets easier because we get better at it.
Yes.
We get better. We get better at recognizing that these triggers are spiritual opportunities, and that when we create a reality by what we speak out into the world and what we speak into ourselves. And so that feedback mechanism is really going to set you up for success, or it's going to destroy you. And, and I'm here to have that, provide that space, that sacred space for people to be, this is where I'm at, in the suckiest of sucks, and the best, and everything in between. And sometimes we could experience that full pendulum swing in a single moment or throughout the day. And so, it could feel like it's too much, but with this work, it gives them the ability to recognize when it's showing up and to resource and take care of themselves the best way that's possible.
I absolutely love that, Carly Grace. Like, thank you for just taking the time to explain that and really dive into the inner world. It almost sounds like we have to have sacred space for ourselves first before we can truly understand the sacred space, the necessariness connected to sacred space for others. And right, and it's hard, right? Because I feel like a lot of folks don't have sacred space for themselves. They almost ignore, and then they lead to the judgment for toward the external, right? And that includes people and places. You know, how would you say that someone can start? Where can someone start with holding sacred space for themselves? If, first of all, I would say they should start by connecting with you through your course and your work, because I know that you obviously have a lot of experience here and you can kind of delve into the intimate aspect of that one-on-one, right, with your clients. But if someone were to start, you know, let's say tonight, what would you advise them to start from?
I mean, I would just say to put 5 minutes. It literally starts with 5 minutes. You know, do 3 deep belly breaths in just to bring the awareness in, to connect to their pulse. You know, I use sensing my pulse. Like, is my heart beating fast? Is my heart beating slow? Like, what is my breath quality? Is it shallow? Is it deep? Um, and
True.
and so, you know, when you bring your awareness into your body, you naturally are starting to bring your energy in, and you're able to this is what I call like being in your temple, right?
Mm.
So they say, you know, yeah, right.
Lose connection.
Oh, I hear you and I
Okay,
see
good.
you on my end.
Okay, it froze for a moment. I almost panicked. Okay, good. We're back on. You know,
We're gonna.
us. Oh, okay. It might be me. I'm not quite sure. Can you guys hear us? Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear Carly Grace? Anyone who's watching? Completely froze. Okay. Well, I'm gonna assume that it could be on my end. Carly Grace is buffering. But yeah, I wanted to just kind of dive in right now until, oh, looks like she did buffer. So I just wanted to dive a little bit more into what she said. And let me go ahead and invite her back. And thank you to everyone who's here. I'm joining Carly Grace. We're talking about sacred space and sovereign speaking. There we go. Better?
Yeah, I was able to hear most of what you were going, but go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're in a good flow.
I think that was the universe saying, you know, it's your turn, Yaz.
Oh, I love you. No, I could hear you talk for forever, seriously. And also just randomly got this image of a 3D, a CD playing. So I don't know. I could hear you talk for forever. But it's interesting. I wanted to touch on something that you said, which was tapping into that awareness and the 5 minute piece. I think that's so important. It's like if we can give ourselves the space to really just be with our own selves, at least should be throughout the day when we can, even when we're doing our mundane tasks like working our job, going grocery shopping, especially this is so big when we're on social media. Sometimes we forget to like check in with ourselves and our breath. I love that. It's so necessary. What I wanted to ask you, because I've been receiving this message for the collective a lot recently about the need for us to go within and focus, especially my guides keep saying over these next 3 weeks, it is going to be pivotal towards, let me just say it like this because they're talking to me right now. The timelines, they're always changing, right? Everything is always changing, just like the Akashic record can be changed. Like if someone's giving you an intuitive reading, let's say it's either you or me, we're giving a client a reading, what we're giving them is only a partiality of where they're at in this moment and the energy that they're holding, right? And the potential timelines that currently exist. But what my guides have been telling me, what they're telling me right now, and my third eye is buzzing as well, is that we need to actually, over the next 3 weeks, focus on our literally going within, like make that the top priority. Because even though there's so much noise happening on the external, it is going to keep posing as a distraction to gauge us into that fear as much as possible. And that's just not going to stop until we really have to say, okay, enough is enough. I have to go within and actually prioritize my own well-being, my own self-care. And they keep telling me this, your aura. And I think I mentioned this on one of our Everything is Energy Clubhouse rooms, the need for us to really prioritize our aura, like completely cleanse it. Because right now, and I can guarantee even for myself, probably a lot of people who might watch this later are in the point where they don't think about their aura on a regular basis. It's not something we think about, but we connect, right? We take on things from the external So I don't know, I want to hear your thoughts on that, but it's been a big message for me lately about, aura, prioritizing, going within.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I mean, especially right now, I think we have 4 or 5 planets that are in retrograde. I know Pluto went direct. But the thing is, it's not this, oh my God, be scared. Anytime you're in a fear state, you're in a scarcity state. And the image that I like to give my clients is to see, like, I love Halloween, so I'm like super geeking out this month. But to think of like a haunted house, with like scary zombies and like cobwebs and all this stuff. And so you could be living in Scare City, you know, or you can go to abundance. And I like dancing, so I think of like a party. So I'm like, do I want to be in like this scary haunted place full of death and grim and doom, or do I want to go party it up with abundance? I'm like, I'm gonna go hit that dance floor.
Right.
I love that. So to me, it gives me that visual. Most of us are visual learners, even if people don't necessarily identify that way. We take in a lot of information through visuals because of the symbol. The sacred symbol is that the symbol can carry information that words fall short. So let's party up in abundance.
I am so about that. I've lived in a haunted house before and it is not fun, let me tell you. I definitely don't want to revisit that timeline. So fear, we're going to just toss it out the window. It's going to keep like surrounding the external. Here's the thing, we're so powerful and resilient, and that's why we're on the planet right now. Anyone that's here and people that are continuing to come onto the planet are some of the strongest beings in the entire multiverse. Honestly, we're all strong. We're all elites. I'm just going to say that, right? And so at the end of the day, even though we might forget that, it's okay. The point is that redirection and reminder and the awareness of it all. I also want to highlight Rosero 16266. That is an angel number that has been following me very personally. And this gal, she said light and definitely dancing. Yes. Remembering the light and definitely having fun and playing. And that's something that you talk about a lot. You message me and you talk about this being our playground, the sandlot, the creativity, imagination. Even your wall, the wall behind you, you took the time to paint that and play and be creative and tap into the inner child there. Tell me how we can all be creative, right? And it's going to be different for everyone, obviously. But I find that it's helpful. What are your thoughts around that?
I think as we venture into creativity, it's about the courageous curiosity, and I say this from a perfectionist in number one, Enneagram number one. So not only do I have Virgo in 3 houses, especially as my son, but like I have perfectionist of perfectionist on a galactic level, right? And so what play does is it dissolves the illusion of perfection and allows for flow to happen. It's like we know, depending on where you're at in the journey, you either occasionally feel flow, and that's when things are going smooth. Like you can get a couple of bumps, but it feels more like an amusement park fun versus stuck in a Saw movie, right? There's a big difference. Like, one is fun, you're signing up for it. And the other one is like, oh my God, I'm chained to this pipe and I'm not going to make it. Like my option's to saw my hand off. Like that doesn't feel like much of a choice. So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, right. I forgot that you're a Virgo. Wow, that makes so much sense. I love Virgo so much. Let me tell you, so I'm Pisces. I have too much flow. And Spirit keeps doing this to me. I keep meeting Virgos. They're crossing my corner at every turn. And now that I know you're Virgo, it makes sense. I feel like I have too much flow sometimes where I'm not always playing, but I'm just not taking the necessary action that a Virgo would. And I love astrology, and I won't put all of that pressure on astrology because it's also me and my soul, and we're all the signs at the same time. But wow, that's just powerful because it's true. I think it's like, look at who you are right now and where you're at and where you've come from, and assess like, what do you need to adjust, right? And at that time, it's not even fixing anything. It's just like, what can I give myself more from? How can I give to myself from a place of like abundance instead of lack, right? What does my soul need?
Yep.
Like these internal questions. Giving yourself compassion is huge too. And I love that we're talking about this. Thank you so much. Yeah, I owe it all to Carly Grace, honestly, because they are the best person to connect with on this stuff. All sacred space. I'm getting distracted with the comments here, but so I just think it's incredible. Like this is really a time to go within and prioritize our own well-being and give ourselves compassion. I want to just also say this because this is like really coming for me very strong right now. Energy, right? On the planet, okay? Like looking externally for a second. And a lot of world leaders have led countries wounded place, making very fear-based action, impulsive decisions. Now, and this is just coming very strongly for me right now, but I feel like the masculine energy for a lot of us who haven't really prioritized that, let's say in our businesses or perhaps with the things that we need to get done in our lives, that needs to come to the forefront. But it's also recognizing that if you already identify with a predominant masculine energy, to give yourself compassion if things don't seem like they're going right, and don't blame yourself. I just got that message right now from my guides. Don't blame yourself if you have a predominant masculine energy, because that can be something where it's carried heavy. Even the feminine can carry blame, guilt, right? Shame, even, shame from that vulnerability. But yeah, so I think it's like big. We got to start off with holding sacred space, holding that space for ourselves, having compassion, self-love, right? Lesson number 1,
Yep.
you are here to love yourself. And by virtue of the laws of the universe, over time, you're gonna get triggered, and then it becomes like an infinity. You get triggered and then it comes back. Okay, ready for the next. But it's not meant to hurt you or say, well, when is this gonna end? It's more so like, it is, and here we are, and you are powerful and you can exist. And if you don't feel powerful one day, it's okay. Stay in bed, watch your Netflix movies, just give to yourself from a place of, I'm taking care of myself, and not from a place of, I hate myself, why am I doing this, I'm such a failure, etc., etc. No, we're changing the language, as you
Yep.
said at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah. That's really a fantastic recap. Being mindful, again, sovereign speaking, being mindful of the words that we use. Every word has an energy to it. Even you could break it down to the letter, right? But we can first start on the regular words that we use and start to notice, what is the big difference between saying, I'm going to give, this is one of the galactic keys, or, the fun,
Yes.
reminders is that every trigger is a reminder, but not every reminder is a trigger.
Love that. Every trigger is a reminder, but not every reminder is a trigger. Wow. So don't feel like every time you're getting reminded of something, it's a trigger. It's meant to just, it is what it is. My friend, Always Been This Way, says the answer. That's incredible. I love that.
Yeah. So, use it as a mantra. That is, what I love it. Usually I'm like, I need to be here in order to stay, in the conversation, because I'll float off into space and then I'll be like, oh, look at that star, that planet.
Same, literally me all the time. My guides are always like, you need to ground yourself, Yasmin. That's what nature is for, honestly. It's just hard. When you're in the clouds, you always want to stay, because it's like this journey, there's so much power. Like I literally, Carly Grace, and I know you feel this, there's power behind really stepping into your own sacred realization, like the awareness that literally the things that you say to yourself every day and in general has a huge impact. The space that you hold for yourself has a huge impact. But by no means are we saying this is perfect, because we're already perfect up there, right? We're not supposed to be 100% perfect down here, right? But it's like this evolution of self-awareness. Now, something I want to ask you now, because I sometimes see this in my reality and I try my best to take hold of it, is having sacred space for others, right? Giving people the compassion. Something that I've been talking about with a few close friends of mine are, spiritual bypassing, which I still see it seems to follow me in different clubhouse rooms, and I'm observing, and I don't know how to navigate that experience where I'm the one listening to someone else getting spiritually bypassed, right? Should we dive into that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually very interesting. So, one, we're going to see spiritual bypassing. I mean, that's just going to be a thing because everyone, again, is in different. Some people are on day one of their Earth experience, and it's not necessary, and it's not necessarily a newborn. Like it could be a day one, and they're 53 years old, or 77 years old. But what's happening now is that we're having people that are being activated and being brought to this awareness of there's something more, that these rules, that the structure, that these systems, especially like the family, is that, whoa, we live in different worlds. So what does it mean to live in different worlds here and be it? People say, and there's these sayings like in Spanish, cada persona tiene un mundo, or something like that, right? Which translates to more or less every single person has a world in their head. But in reality, it's like every single person is a multiverse. And so,
My God.
so just, let me just say that. I'm going to say that 2 more times so that way it really lands. Every single person is a multiverse. And then, so just every single person is a multiverse means that we are experiencing every permutation of timelines in our personal realities on an infinite loop until we become aware of that reality, right? And so this information gets seeped to us through these reminders. And when we answer the call, when we hear that still small voice, it's flow. But when we turn, when we don't want to hear it. Advice for couples who are different worlds, one consciously awake and the other not so much, from Ashley.
Definitely know Ashley what that. Very much so.
Yeah.
Yes. Honestly, I'm going through this right now. Can I answer that, Carly? Is that okay?
Yeah.
I know there was another question that was asked as well. How can I be the best version of myself? So I will go ahead and combine those two, if that's okay. So something to not do, I'll start with this, is when one person in the relationship is awake, so to speak, meaning that they just have a higher consciousness level, where they're more aware of reality and some of the systems that are in place in their reality, right? Perhaps more spiritually awakened to some of the concepts that exist with creation. It can be difficult somewhat to be in a connection with someone who is not at that same consciousness level. Why is that? Because you know some secrets that the other person doesn't quite know or understand yet. Now, this is when you have to decipher, am I able to actually hold space for this person in a way that is not going to judge them and also inhibit their growth, but also respect that they are on their journey and timeline? And the reason why I say this, and the reason why I'm saying you should ask this question, is because with me, I was not that way. I was like, well, when is this going to happen? Hello, checking the time. And because I had visions and dreams revealed to me personally 3-4 years ago that made me feel like, when is the time going to speed up, And that harms the relationship, because when you get to that place where you think that you're so spiritually advanced than the other person, which, depending on the nature of that connection, we'll just say divine connection. If they're in a relationship with you, the thing is they might be your mirror, or there's a lesson to learn anyways. But again, if you can't hold space and respect them, and you judge them, they're not going to grow, and it's actually going to divide the relationship. And that's when you have to decide, again, what kind of connection is this? I don't want to talk about labels and things like that in here, but there's some connections where a separation is necessary, because sometimes being one consciously awake person, being in a relationship with someone who is not at that place, it's disruptive, right? Both people can't learn in the way that they need to. For me personally, and I'll just say this, I had to accept what inevitably was meant for the connection for me at that time, because I was going to inhibit my own growth at the same time, right? Trying to save someone who God had a particular plan for them at that time. So I hope I made, answering that question easy, but also that's when you realize that becoming the best version of yourself
it's like you realize that in that process, I need to prioritize myself in this time and not worry about the other person as much. If I can hold space, great. And if I can't, you know, then it's time for me to go within and create my best version of myself and do what I love to do. Like, you know, like I was a kid before I was in a relationship and before I even met this person. Right. So yeah, Carly Grace, I don't know if you have any insights.
Yeah, I mean, basically the way to put all of that, I mean, I'm 100% in alignment to the message that you shared, Yaz. The way is just, you know, to go into your temple, to connect within, to give yourself what you need. If you're giving yourself what you need from a place, as we awaken, we realize the role that we play in how our attachment, how our to construct, to form. Like we already know it's hard enough to control ourselves. Like we have no chance trying to control someone else, and we have no business trying to.
Really?
Right? We have no business. Just save yourself the headache.
Yeah.
Save yourself the drama.
Yeah.
And just like say, you know what? That's not my responsibility. My responsibility is in being connected to who I am, knowing my truth, and showing up from a place of unconditional, boundless love and light. Right? Like that's really when you're coming from that place, and when you interact with someone else, it's really hard to mess up. You will. I mean, it's just natural. But when you do, you're going to have a compassion towards yourself, and that compassion, that journey to continuously seeing that if you are awake and if you have already noticed these sand traps, right, or these pitfalls, how much you have that and you fell into it. Like you didn't. So like what hope, you know, where, you know, other people who do not know those tips and tricks to navigate this experience, they're still falling in, and they still got to get themselves out. And so it's this multi-layered compassion. I still need a lot of sleep, intense dreams, disruption. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what that one's speaking to, but yeah, just basically like go into the temple, go into your temple, go in within, come up from a place of overflow. And when you're overflowing, you're naturally showing up generosity, you're elevating the vibration of the room, and especially you're showing up as someone who's safe for that person to show who they truly are and where they're at. Because we're often having these superficial conversations when in reality the message is like subconscious. And so when the space is safe, we can start to hear the subconscious. It'll start to elevate and it will present itself. If we create the space to hear the invisible, to hear spirit, and spirit grieves too, right? Mm-hmm. Like we are embodied spirit, and we are continuously grieving. Yeah, multi-layered compassion. That's right, Ashley. We're continuously grieving. So as we understand how we grieve, we have this compassion to know that grief always shows up differently for everyone. And everyone has a different journey, and it looks different, and they are starting from different places. And so just to have that compassion for yourself, and when you have that compassion and unconditional love for yourself, it's easier to have that compassion and unconditional love for other people. And that, again, like you said, yes, is that sometimes to have unconditional love for yourself and be able to live from a place of compassion sometimes does mean closing that chapter and wishing them well. You know, there's this Buddhist, I think it's a Buddhist quote, something about like, if you can't help, then at least do no harm, right?
Yeah.
So if you can't see the best in that person, if you no longer see the best in that person, then, you know, it's the invitation to go within and say, okay, am I acting out because this relationship is no longer in alignment with me and I really need to end this? Or is there an invitation for me to grow, right? And sometimes it is an invitation to grow, and it's an invitation to leave, right? So you can create space for what's to come. And that season can take the time that it needs to take, because that's what divine timing is all about, is that we this earthly understanding of time is awesome. Thanks, Rosario.
Thank you.
This early understanding of time can tie us up in knots, and we can experience physical pain, not just, you know, the pain of that grieving period, but, you know, we could start to lock in that pain into our bodies and experience disease. And we'll go into that tomorrow in the Everything is Energy Club, the energy of disease, right?
Yeah.
Because the, you know, the Body Keeps a Score is a reference, is a book that, you know, that really goes into that concept. But again, showing up from a place of sacred space and using sovereign speaking with yourself will allow you to see where you are at your journey. How are you showing up first with yourself and then with others? And if you're showing up with others in a way that you would not like to, that you'd like to change, to switch it up, then that's the invitation to go back into your temple and figure out, where do you need to do some housekeeping? Like, what are these belief systems, these reactions, these patterns, these stories that are continuing to play, you know, and just get rid of it. You know, that's what I call flip the switch, rewrite the script. You know, because we're turning the light on, and we're rewriting the story. So
I literally love that so much. Wow, Carly Grace, thank you so much for just taking the time, like literally today, and just talking about everything sacred space, going within. I did ask, I know we've got a couple minutes. We're going to finish on the hour mark, 6 p.m. Central, if that's okay with you.
That's perfect.
Perfect. So I asked if anyone had questions, and Tsem asked, you know, I seem to need a lot of sleep, intense dreams. This disrupts my waking life on earth, appointments, school, etc. Advice on how to deal with this. So how can we tie that to sacred space, holding space? I would say, well, first of all, I would say, if the body's telling you to rest, listen to the body. This is part of holding sacred space for yourself, right, Carly Grace? Like, holding space for yourself is listening to what your body needs. If you're trying to run, you can't run on E, right? So if you're trying to move on an empty engine, it's just not going to work. Your body, the human body, that vessel is your engine, right? And you want to make sure that you're on a full cup. So easier said than done, but try, if you can, reschedule appointments if it's possible, or just seeing what is available to you to switch around so that you can prioritize your own time. I would advise to do that, because this is really the time right now to go within, like, truly the next 6 weeks. But my guides keep telling me in the next 2 weeks has a very powerful effect, but I don't like to rely on time because it's always something. But the next 2 to 6 weeks, we'll say that if you can really put yourself forward. Anyways, like in the business world, in the corporate world, they say Q4, right? The last quarter of the year, anyways, you want to hustle, right? So hustle by giving yourself that hustling love. Okay, take your sleep. That was so bad, but take your sleep, take your rest, you know, take your Epsom salt baths, because salt baths cleanse your energy. You know, sage, use your in the Arab world, we call it bukhur. It's like the saging type of thing. Yeah. So it's exciting, because I know that no matter where we're at, even if we're going through a lot of struggles, it's like there's something that's going to shift as long as we prioritize ourselves. It's the easiest thing we can do. And we really only have control over ourselves. We don't have control of the external too, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So before we run out of time, I do want to give the community a chance to know that we have, that I'm hosting the Sacred Space and Sovereign Speaking workshop on October 16 at 3 p.m. Central. Yeah. I love it. I love it. You're like, yeah.
October 16th, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And that I specifically designed a program that's 3 months long to really give you those solid foundations, those habits, those spiritual habits, those earthly habits that bridge the gap between the body and the spirit. So that way you can show up powerfully in all your spaces. So you're not leaving your body, you're not collapsing, you're not going from a place of undersourced or like shifting into resentment or living in scarcity, because you're able to come to a place where you recognize that, that you are sacred, that you are sovereign, or more or less that you are the writer of your own story, right? So with whatever words or analogies work for you, but at the end of the day, you're going to feel great in your body, physically, spiritually, energetically. You're going to wake up and you're going to be like, I get to do this. Like, this is my life. Like, I get to live it. I'm here. Like, this is amazing. Like, life is a miracle. And, and I like to anchor this process to the breath, because every single breath is the miracle. And when we breathe in the miracle, life is the miracle, right? It's just beautiful, fluid, top down, circular evolution cycle. So instead of being stuck in a vicious cycle, we're going to transition to an evolution cycle where we're constantly evolving into the best version of who we are.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Okay, where can they sign up for this? 10/16, 3 p.m. Is it in the link in your bio?
Yeah, so in the link tree, it'll show the Eventbrite, and my handle there, I think it's at Carly Grace or Carly Grace Coaching, and that's the workshop that's happening on the 16th. And I do want to give your community a chance to book a free. I used to call it Bold and Brave Breakthroughs, but now what I really honed in is called You Can Flow with Grace and Ease. So by flowing with grace and ease, you get the Bold and Brave Breakthroughs. And you just get to experience this joy and this play on a deep, deep level that just like vibrates throughout your entire multiverse, just bearing fruit. So that's the invitation. That's my galactic grace and unconditional boundless love and light for you all. So
I love it. Thank you so much, Carly Grace. I went ahead and put you guys 10/16 at 3 p.m. link in her bio. You don't want to miss this. This sounds like an awesome opportunity to just really get so much clarity for your journey moving forward. I'm just seeing keys and doors unlocking. So I love that so much. And I appreciate you opening up and spending time to speak. I know you're in Chicago too. So it's just such a beautiful, beautiful synchronicity. And I look forward for us to connect again soon. I'm just laughing right now and smiling because I literally see us both right now in the 5D, like talking and like shaking hands. It's quite interesting. Oh my gosh, stop. Wait, I need to talk about this with you offline, but I'm not seeing you as straight up a soul right now. I'm actually seeing you as another being. That is so cool. Wow. Okay. I love that.
I feel like I'm just wrapping you up, man. It's so beautiful. Infinite gratitude for you, Yaz. I'm so grateful for who you are as a soul, that universe brought us together, and just the beautiful work that you're doing within the community, and how that's rippling out into the multiverse too, because you have grown into such a beautiful person, like, and you continue to do it, and that will be like that. Just it's infinite. So just really blessed.
I'm so excited. This is what we're here to do. The party is just getting started. So I'm excited.
Let's go abundance.
We should do that. We're both in Chicago. We should just do that one night because I think it would be fun. And then who knows, just by virtue of energy and working on ourselves and our beings, Oh yeah, Ashley, thanks for coming, Ashley, and asking a wonderful question. I actually think my divine counterpart joined this this live anonymously, so I think that was very interesting that you asked that question. Funny how life works. So I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning into the live. Thank you so much, Carly Grace. And until next time, everyone, go and grow. Bye.
Bye. Infinite gratitude.
Infinite gratitude. Bye.